Do you feel ready to buy new construction, but maybe you're torn between buying a spec home or looking at a custom build? And hey, listen, both of them have their pros and cons. So we want to take a look at what the best choice is for you. And that could depend on a couple of different factors. So let's take a look. Let's dive into some of those right now. Hey, I'm local realtor Nick Belmore, and I'm excited to take a look at some of these different options with you. New construction can be a big choice, and understanding the difference of what's out there can really have an impact on your bottom line, on your budget, and on your timeline as we start to go through this process. Okay, so first question a lot of people have, hey Nick, what's the difference between the two of these as we start to get into this process? Well, a couple important things. A spec home is a home that's already built or it's really close to completion. Designed by the builder, a lot of the choices are typically made by the builder. Countertops, cabinets, different trim packages, what type of fireplace, any of that kind of thing is usually chosen by the builder. And with the spec home, there's typically not going to be any changes. They budgeted it and priced it based on the selections that they had. And so the spec home is kind of your get what you see at that stage. A lot of them are pretty much done or at the end of completion. So you would be ready to take possession of that home fairly quickly. A lot of our specs will close anywhere between 30 to 60 days from when you go ahead and make your choice home-wise. Custom build, a little bit different. This is the one where you get to really choose from the very beginning through the end. When it comes to floor plan, when it comes to color schemes, when it comes to the different choices in materials, this is one where you're going to typically sit down once or twice with the builder and start to go through all those different choices and select it directly for you. Now, when it comes to these on timeline, a little bit different in comparison to the spec homes. So often, these can be anywhere from 6 months to 12 months out of being able to take possession. So little bit of difference in there. However, there's a lot more flexibility in a custom home versus a spec. The ability to make changes, the ability to select the things that are important to you. Maybe it's not on the selection list, but you really want a specific light fixture. You go out and buy it yourself and they put it in for you. There's so many more options when it comes to a custom versus a spec. What are some of the things to pay attention to? Really want to pay attention to that timeline. I mean, in the end, the question is, are we interested more in convenience or are we interested more in customization? Section 2, as we start to look at custom versus spec, really comes into timeline. With spec homes, you're typically able to move in extremely quickly. They're better for buyers with a deadline. Are you living out of a hotel? The new job has already started. You need to be in something. Spec's probably the best choice for you. It's usually one of those things too with the spec home. You don't have to be as concerned with weather or any type of construction delays, any type of supply chain issues, because most of the time those things are already in by the time that home is hitting the market and you're starting to make a decision. If you need to be in something quickly, spec home is definitely the better choice. When it comes to a custom build, obviously that's one that we want to kind of pay attention to. We can expect longer timelines on those custom builds, especially if you're not just making selections, but maybe you had an architect draw something up. Maybe there's a unique building site that has some issues to be dealt with. Oftentimes, 6 to 12 months or beyond can be our timeline when it comes to a custom build. And of course, the more complex it is, the more we might have to wait. When it comes to roofing, so many of these guys have roofers that'll come through and put a asphalt roof in, no problem. Maybe as part of your customization, you selected a slate roof. Well, the reality is there's less guys that have the skills to be able to put together a slate roof versus your regular asphalt shingles. That could be a possible delay when it comes to even the trades on a custom build. So again, it comes into What do you want to do? Are you ready to get into something quickly, or is it more about your choices, your style, and your selection? Then a custom is probably the right move at that stage for you. Section 3 that we should probably talk about as well, and that's cost plus value when it comes to these homes. On a spec home, the pricing is oftentimes locked in. It was predetermined when they started putting together the combination of location and selections, features and benefits, all those type of things. Also, you do see more incentives on the spec homes. Even right now, many of our builders have programs where they're open to buying down interest rates only if you buy their spec home. If you're getting a custom, it's 12 months out, you're making your choices. They just don't offer those same incentives as being able to pull down from interest rate or price or any of those type of things. And again, there's just a less flexibility on those finishes in the spec home at that phase. You're usually going to get what you get, and a lot of the builders won't even make selections even if that material hasn't been installed as of yet. Maybe you wanted those kind of gray barnwood floors and they have a cherry red floor going in there. The reality is many of them won't make that change. They'll tell you take it as it is and then change the floors out after you close. Of course, for many buyers, paying for that floor twice might not be optimum in their situation. When it comes to custom builds, we have to understand that you have a little bit more control over that budget because you're oftentimes making the selections in a custom at that phase. And listen, it can feel overwhelming. In a lot of those custom homes, you're choosing every cabinet, you're choosing the trim pieces, you're choosing all the different things that go along with that house, faucets, light fixtures, any of that type of stuff. Obviously, one of the big ones, cabinets, countertops, and backsplashes. And every single one of those choices is absolutely made by the buyer at that phase. And again, one of the other differences that we might see is the financing. For a custom home, you're probably looking at a construction loan a lot of the times with many of our builders. With spec homes, you're probably going to go in and you're just going to purchase on an end loan because that home is almost done. Now, I will say there are a few builders out there that will finance your custom. Usually they're looking for a little bit more of a down payment, and that can absolutely be a little bit more convenient versus going through the whole process of construction financing. So definitely an important one. And remember, it's all about that final cost when you're all in. When we start to look at these, we want to budget the total and keep it within the buyer's comfort zone at that phase. Section 4, we're talking about customization. And there's no question that this section is won by custom builds. When it comes to spec homes, what you see is what you get. You're typically going to have to deal with whatever selections at that phase were made by the builder. Even if the cost is equal, most builders are unwilling to make those changes based on what they've offered out in the very beginning. Again, do you not want to make a million decisions? Do you just want a house and get in there? No doubt spec homes are the choice there. And of course, so many of our spec homes are often designed to appeal to the widest group of people. They want to make sure that it's attractive to all the buyers, not just a certain set. When it comes to the custom builds, this is the one where customization is built right in the name. Again, you're choosing every single thing as you start to go through that process, whether it's upgrades or any of those different types of pieces. Another big one on the custom home, do you want something unique? Do you see kind of those cookie cutter houses that are out there and you think, hey, that's not for me. I need architecture, I need style, I need amazing design. Yep, you're probably looking at a custom home in that phase. Again, do you want to maybe change the layout? Do you want to have more input on those pieces? No question, a custom home is probably going to be your better selection at that phase. If you want it to be more of a reflection of you, then custom home is probably going to be the winner, and we just have to really account for the timeline at that phase. Section 5, and no matter what you buy, whether it's a spec or whether it's a custom, there's always some important things that you want to understand. Number one, having a realtor to represent you can absolutely make a difference. Remember, the builder's rep is literally paid by the builder to help the builder make the most amount of money in that process. So, do you go without an agent? If so, just know that you run the risk of having no representation and no guidance in that stage. The majority of the time, there is zero effect on your pricing whether you bring an agent or not. So it's probably in most people's best interest to have some form of representation as they go through. Next tip that I have for any of you would-be home buyers, it's worth it to get a third-party home inspection. There's no doubt that the builders do care about quality. However, especially the higher volume, the more things that can get missed. I would say the same thing for the inspections that are happening from the building inspector. They might have 15 inspections on a given 8-hour day, and there's a good chance something could get missed. That's where the difference is in having a third-party inspector that might spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours going through that new construction with a fine-tooth comb, checking on all those different things. Number three, last but not least, it's definitely understanding your warranty. Is your warranty bumper to bumper? Is there a 10-year structural warranty? What does that cover? What does that actually mean when you might have some shifting or even a leak in the foundation, let's just say? It's an important piece to really understand what is and isn't covered through the home warranty provided by the builder, and understanding the difference between a warranty provided by the builder and a warranty provided by the manufacturer of the material used in your home. No doubt that there is value in the manufacturer's warranty. However, if it's not installed exactly according to their specs, oftentimes that manufacturer's warranty can be voided, so it will fall back on the builder at that stage. It's an important thing to know as you start to go through the process. Whether you're looking at a spec or a custom, one of the important things is to be able to match the home to your lifestyle, to what you like, to all those different pieces. Really, to your goals and to your timeline are just as important. So if you're thinking about diving into new construction and maybe you're not sure where to start, reach out to me. My contact info is in the description below, and I would love to help guide you through the process so you can find the right location, the right builder, and more specifically, the right home for you and your family.